This week on the show, we're featuring Amazonite, chrome tourmaline under the microscope cam, fruit pops on Why'd I Buy That, 8 new jokes, and now with less sea saltiness. A baker started taking martial arts because he wanted to learn about Taekwondo. Let's start the show. This piece of Amazonite is solid. A lot of the Amazonite I have is full of air. Little air bubbles. Those are the past ones I've done. Still have some of that. This piece is fairly solid though. I kind of like it because it has the essence of clouds over a lake in the sea. Speaking of sea, now you can see me. Hi. Cheers. Almost satisfying. Hello, Colette. How are you today? Hope you're doing as well as this gemstone. I like it. I like the color of it. I wanted to do some peridot, but the peridot didn't quite work out yet. Not so far, anyway. Kiwi claw means no, but with the silent K and the invisible W. Isn't the W also technically a silent W? It's a silent K and a silent W? I think if I think, it will double you thinking. Moving on. Welcome to the program. We're shaping a nifty piece of Amazonite. I tried to shape the back, but I just couldn't get it even. It's pretty close. But there's always like one side that just isn't enough, and I keep trying to even it out, and then before I know it, it's gone, which is kind of what happened with this gem. There's the front of it. And there's the back of it. We'll look at it a little bit more under the microscope cam. Let's do that, shall we? Get the microscope cam out. How are you lovely people this evening? You ready to start a great week? Got all your Christmas shopping done? Oh, that's totally a thing. Michael's Adventures, hello. What are you up to this fine Sunday evening? Resting? I like to do that. The more rest, the finer the evening. Let's see. Charisse made it. All right, Charisse, how's it going? Glad you made it. Ayong Roxy Rents. And ye. I gotta learn how to say that better. You'll have to teach me at Taekwondo. Hope you heard the joke at the beginning of the show. If not, I'll tell it again at the end of the show. Okay, chatbot's working. Darren is doing stand-up at school. Do you have time to answer a few questions? That's what I do. I answer questions. Doesn't mean that they're correct, but they are answers, and they will leave you with questions. Go ahead and ask away, or you can call me after the show, and we can talk about it then. Couldn't get it even, like with this Segway. You working on a Segway? Glitchy slime. What tips do you have? I have fingertips. I have the tip of my nose. I have like when I drink too much beer and I get a little tipsy. I have the tips of some gemstones, which we're about to look at under the microscope if I can ever get it fired up. What tips do you have for stand-up? Use both legs. 2 feet, you'll be a little more stabilized. And make sure you bend at the knees. Do a lot of sitting beforehand so that when you stand, you can stand in an upright position. Where's the gall-darned microscope cam? Do. One thing that people don't like to hear about stand-up is that you have to be the jester, which basically means you are in a position of power because you have the microphone and the stage. And so it's your duty to make the audience feel better. It's not your like solemn vow duty. It's more of like if you want to get them to laugh, there's a few different triggers to make them laugh. And one of them is like if you embarrass one person in the crowd, then the rest of the crowd will feel superior to that one person. So that's kind of the angle that crowd roasting works. But if you make the whole if you embarrass the whole audience, they're not going to feel comfortable. They're not going to laugh. So you have to make the audience feel superior. You have to make them feel comfortable. And that will put them in the mood to ha ha without feeling embarrassed. Let's see. Microscope, Scopacam, video, show. We're in the middle of it, and we're switching to it. There we are. Hey, that's the gem that we're shaping. And that's the gem that we're looking at. How long does it take to prepare for stand-up? It depends on how long you want to take to prepare for stand-up. Gorgeous stone today. Thank you, Colette. Nice, says Kiwi Claw. Hey, Kiwi, do you have a Segway? Are you working on one? I want to see about it. I want you to show me about it. Oh yeah, that's how much time I don't have. We still got timers and stuff like that. So I need to actually like activate the appropriate timers. Anyways, where were we at? It is good to practice. I've found that practicing for the stand-up, like practicing my set, actually does help. It's got some pits in it, doesn't it? Need to sand it a little bit more. But for the most part, that doesn't show on an opaque stone. The scratches really show on a translucent stone. It's like scratches on glass. And I kind of like having it thin because it does actually lighten up the color of the stone. It's got a little bit of that Legend of Zelda rupee look, doesn't it? I'm pretty proud of this end. I got both of those pretty even. Then the other end, they're not very even, so that's why I didn't feature this side of the gem. So, let's see, as far as I just segue my feet on out of here. Well, you will pretty soon because we're going to get to the why did I buy that portion, which is fantastic. I'm going to talk about buying fruit pops. And you're going to get so hungry for fruit pops, you're going to segue right on out of here down to the store and buy yourself some fruit pops. That's probably going to happen. Renee Vester, thank you for coming by. What a cute kitty. Renee, would you do me a favor and give that kitty cat a nice little chin scratching? Under the chin, up to the tip of the chin, backwards a little bit, maybe a little on the other side. You get up on that cheek a little bit there and up near the eye, not too close to the eye, and then you get around to the ear and kind of work your way around behind the ear and then back around. I bet that kitty cat would appreciate that. What about mints? Yeah, maybe I'll do some mints. That would make for a mint show. I'll give you that. Why'd I buy that? Could be its own show. It was, Joe, originally. Actually, I have like 3 episodes of Why'd I Buy That, and one of them I talk about how I went to the store to buy something, and I don't know if I said you were on the way or if I said you asked me to take you to the store, and I needed something, so I picked it up while I was there. But you are on one of the early Why'd I Buy That's. Kitties love belly scratchings, that part too. So, as far as stand-up goes, it depends on what your style is, personally. I mean, there's some people who just stand there with the microphone. There's some people who fidget with the microphone stand. Don't do that. Set the microphone stand out behind you. You get a better connection with the audience. Some people do crowd work. They'll talk to the crowd. And there's a process for that. Ask a question. Repeat the answer, because somebody in the audience will say an answer and somebody in the back didn't hear it. So if you say, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? One of my recent ones. And somebody will say, mashed potatoes. And I'll say, mashed potatoes. Repeat their answer so everybody else can hear it. So you ask a question, repeat the answer. Insert joke. If you don't have a joke, ask another question. Repeat the answer. Ask another question. Repeat the answer. And until you get to a joke, and then you can use that joke to feed into your other jokes. Like I say, mashed potatoes. Oh, I love mashed potatoes. I love the fact that Macy's has that Thanksgiving Day parade, and they have all those big balloons. Because I can eat all the mashed potatoes and say, at least I'm not as big as those balloons. Although, when I eat all those mashed potatoes, I get so gassy you have to hold me down with ropes. And that's kind of the segue for the crowd work part. The other things you can do are impressions, which those are hit or miss. You can do one-liners. You can just stand up there and tell one joke and then go on to the next one. I do a lot of that during the joke portion of the program. You can tell stories, but a lot of stories are kind of long-winded, so I tend to stay away from stories, but it is actually kind of good to tell stories and pepper your jokes in the middle. Like I got one that Colette was helping me work on where I talk about how I went to the store to buy some shoes. And the guy at the store tried to get me to buy some running shoes. And I said, and this is where I pepper in a joke, I say, well, I don't really need running shoes unless they can help me run away from pushy salesmen. So you pepper that joke in, then you say, and I didn't want to buy running shoes, but then my ex-girlfriend walked in and asked me what I've been up to lately. So I went ahead and bought the running shoes and told her I've been exercising. And then you kind of go into the whole story about the problem with having running shoes is that I keep running into things. Actually, I found it's kind of nice to have running shoes because my girlfriend will ask me to run to the store and get her something, and I say, I can't. I'm busy running to nowhere for my health. And we're kind of working on that one, just trying to feather that out. But that's the story, is that I bought some running shoes. And I pepper in some jokes instead of just telling the one-liner, which the one-liner joke was, I've been wearing running shoes. Not because I like to jog, I just have an overactive bladder. And the joke is that I have to run to the bathroom all the time. Let's see, what else? I was going to show some tourmaline. Look at that under the microscope, Cam. I'm going to shape this. This is going to be a thing. Let's get to the next video. Because I could talk about stand-up tips all night. There we go. That's me trying to finish it out. Let's put a mirror under this tourmaline and see if we can get it to show the green. Because it's actually very green inside. I think I'm going to have to put a light under it. I keep wondering if I can get it to show. That's the thing about chrome tourmaline. It's usually black in the middle and green on the edges. But it's a rather valuable gem if you can shape it right. I mean, people love tourmaline in general. And it's a pretty hard gem, too. So, like I say, it depends on your style. Tell clean jokes, don't tell dirty jokes. Because clean jokes are dirty jokes are easy to do, but they don't always get a laugh, especially if you're telling them at school. You could probably get away with gross jokes. You probably won't be able to do a lot of callback jokes, like reference jokes, like when I talk about the news. Yeah, that just happened. Like talking about the news doesn't really do a lot if your audience isn't familiar with headlines. I mean, I guess you could talk about pop news, because that'll probably get you a few laughs. Remember to put the punchline at the end. Sometimes people try to put the punch in the middle, and it's like people are laughing and you're still talking, and that doesn't really help out. I'm hoping I can shape this thing. See how clean it is in there? I want to shape it to get it to show that green. Then if I turn it this way, it doesn't show the green. It's pleochroic. Yeah. And that's the chrome tourmaline under the microscope, Cam. Let's see, I'll show you a piece of peridot. What other questions do you have about standing up? It was for Band-Aids, I believe. The strip ope. No, that was the commercials. We did those commercials. Actually, I have those commercials somewhere. I should air them during the show. This joke portion brought to you by Strip Ope, featuring Opie Pete. Yeah, we do have that, but no, this is something that I don't know. I don't think you were involved in. It was called the Why'd I Buy That? And I actually have a short playlist of those 3 or 4 episodes of Why'd I Buy That? Let's see, where are we at? This is the piece of peridot that I thought about featuring for the show today. It's got some of these neat little rainbow circles in it. I didn't know if those were in there. I didn't expect to see those. So I'm going to try and get those to show. But it's got this like big brown crack going on. And look how deep it is. So I'm like, what am I going to do with that, you know? So the idea here is that I've got it fairly polished. I want to say that's a 240. I'm going to slap it on some 2000 grit and clean it up a little bit so I can see in there and get an idea of how I'm going to move forward. Because I'll get those little rainbow discs to show a little bit more, and we'll be able to make them show up. I don't want to rush through it, you know. That'd be great. Do you need a cane or a walker for stand-up? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, those will help you stand up. That's clever. How's it going, Gary? Glad you made it to the show. Well, it's only middle school. Okay, so yeah, exactly, Roxy. Middle school, yeah, you won't be able to do a lot of cell phone jokes. Um, oh, another thing is that pauses. This will help you because you'll write like 5 minutes of jokes and you'll be practicing and you'll like tell them in front of the mirror and then you'll just kind of tell them in front of the wall standing there and you'll be like, all right, I hit 5 minutes, and you'll get up there and you'll tell a joke and it'll bomb. No one will laugh, or you won't. Maybe people will chuckle, but you won't get as big of a laugh as you expect, and that happens a lot. I hear a lot of other comedians talk about it too. You'll tell a dumb joke that you think will get a chuckle. People will laugh like crazy. Then you'll tell your big punchline and nobody will laugh. So you'll real quick move on to the next one. Sometimes, and this kind of goes back to being the entertainer, you have to be the jester. You have to be the object of ridicule on stage. That's one of the things is you can't be like, look at me, I'm fantastic. You have to be like, yeah, I'm resorting to this. And so you get on stage and you tell a joke and it bombs. Just give it a little bit of silence. Live with the silence. Get comfortable with that. Remember that there's people who are all ages. I mean, 10, 20, 30, 50, 70 years old who are trying to do stand up and they learn something new every time they go on stage. So there's a lot of that going on with stand up comedy. Um let's see, what else could I say? What made me want to do stand up comedy? I like sharing the jokes. I write jokes and I'm like, "Oh, this is hilarious. I'm going to share this." So I like sharing. Sharing is caring. And I was like, I got a lot of jokes. I'm going to get up on stage and tell them. So, like, that's with me. And one of the things that happens with people is they'll get all pumped up and they're like, man, I'm going to tell. I see this with a lot of new comedians. They'll get all pumped up and they're like, oh, I'm going to go up there. I practice this set. I'm going to go kill. I'm going to get a movie deal. And then they go up on stage and they get like 2 laughs out of their jokes. And they're really nervous, like when it actually starts to get to be stage time, it's like your heart starts racing and you're like, oh man, I'm actually going to do it. I got to time everything perfectly and I got to have all my words right. That's where crowd work comes in, and it's kind of nice to do a little crowd work. Like I have a joke about shopping, and I talk about the self checkout counter. And I ask someone, do you like the self checkout counter? And then I wait for the response. And that little bit of dead silence, it makes people, pay attention. They listen in. That's like Stephen Wright used to tell his jokes quietly because people will quiet down just so they can hear what he's saying. Of course, if your jokes aren't funny, they'll stop listening pretty quick. But that was one of the things about the first time I went on stage. And this is a piece of rose quartz I'm about to put under the saw. I don't know if I really have a plan for it. It's got a lot of rust in it. But one of the things I noticed when I first went on stage is at a bar, and the people at the bar were quiet for like the first 4 or 5 comedians, but then they wanted to start to talk again, so they started talking to each other. And I was up there like 2 hours into the show. I was comedian like number 13 or 14. And when I started telling my jokes, a couple of people in the front row laughed. And because of that laughter, everyone else in the rest of the bar quieted down and started looking at me. Because they want to hear my next joke. Because they want to be part of the laughter too. So if you can be funny, then you'll get people to pay attention. One of the local comedians, and he's pretty funny. He's got a lot of good jokes. He went to Waterloo to a bar show, and a lot of times at a bar you'll wind up having somebody who's drunk and they don't know that they came to a comedy show. They just came to the bar to drink, and they'll start yelling or talking or being real loud and trying to talk over you. And so this comedian, I'm talking about Zach Vaughn. He said he was trying to be funny. He said, "Can you please, for the first time in your life, shut your flapping mouth?" And the guy got upset, and then the guy's son came up and started confronting him, and then one of Zach's friends came up and started saying, "Hey, there's a comedy show." And so then one of the guy's other friends came up and threw a punch, and then that's when it all like a brawl broke out. There were punches flying and people tackling each other. And there's a security video online. I'll have to tag you, Roxy and Joe, so you guys can see this. But that kind of goes back to the difference between doing a bar and doing a comedy club. A comedy club, people know that they came out for a comedy show. I think a hover round is better. Ooh, that doesn't really stand you up though. Maybe get one of those recliners where you push the button and then you stand up. You could roll out there on your recliner and say, "Well, it's time for my stand-up act." Bzzz, and you stand up and you're like, "Ta-da!" And then you sit down, and tell some jokes. Oh, it was chaos. Yeah, that's the thing, but that's the problem with like people getting drunk at the comedy show. You deal with that sometimes. Um, let's see. What else could I say? Probably a lot of stuff. Probably a lot of stuff. This is prey night, and I'm gonna split it right here on this little norp. This little nubbly. It grows in these like grape ball cluster thingers. And it's got some pretty bad matrix on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and split it. And then we'll have two pieces to work with. Although I think, if you look at this double crack here, I think the little piece probably won't amount to much. Because like this line here is something. And I think there's another one over here. But then this other part, this looks pretty uniform. So I think this is going to turn out to be a pretty good chunk. Nice big piece. Nice big roundy prey night piece. And then I got a piece of this blue chalcedony we're going to put under the saw. It's got a couple of different spots, so we're going to split it. Yep, that's pretty much going to happen. So anyways, let's see, what other questions do you have about performing stand-up? Do you have any jokes? Do you have any jokes? Do you have some jokes to tell? Don't put the rupees in pots. It will break the pot. I will break the pots to get them. That's a Legend of Zelda joke. Oh, that's funny. I like that, Joe. That's a good one. Seaway all the way. Segway. Well, if the Segway made a boat, they would call it the Seaway. Speaking of Seaways, I bought something. I like money. I like rupees. It's really hard and freaking dropped it. And I was ready. I was done. I was taking it off the thing. And I dropped it. And I got a slit in the top. I wound up having to grind the face of it down some more. Yeah, we won't talk about that anymore. I like breaking pots so that I can get them rupees too, Joe. But why do I want the rupees? So I can spend them on things, right? And what did I spend it on this time? I spent it on fruit pops. Strawberry fruit pops, to be specific. They probably got other ones. I think they got other ones. It's been a while since I bought fruit pops too. I keep thinking I'm going to get some different ones. Because, who doesn't like some delicious vitamin-rich fruits with their fruity flavors? They're so good. And popsicles are nice, but they're like Kool-Aid. They're so sugary these days. I really like the strawberry pops. Usually when I'm eating a strawberry pop, I get about halfway into the strawberry pop and I start thinking, how many more strawberry pops? And maybe I should go get another strawberry pop so when this one's done, I can just seaway right into the other strawberry pop. Yeah, that's how much I like strawberry pops. So that's why I don't buy them, is because I wind up eating them all. But then I'm like, I wonder if they have other ones. But I didn't really want to take the time to look and decide. I figured I'd decide on it later. So basically, I bought the strawberry pops. I bought the strawberry fruit pops. They're in the green box. They're at Walmart. I don't remember what kind I bought a decade ago. They might not even make them anymore. They're kind of pricey, so I don't buy them too often. And I do like those chocolate fudge pops. Yeah, those are good. I can eat as many of those as I can strawberry pops. I should probably get the strawberry pops and the chocolate pops and then I can eat them together. I got two hands. It just makes sense to eat two popsicles at the same time. I mean, I got one mouth, but it's got two sides. My tongue can taste things on both sides of itself, so maybe just double fist. You know, that'd be delicious. Maybe it'd be too much delicious, but we'll have to find out firsthand, or second hand, or both hand. They're both first, right? Because we're number one, twice. Anyways, that's what I bought, and that's why I bought that. Have you ever bought fruit pops? And which ones out of all those ones you got to choose from, which one did you buy? And why did you buy that? Let me know. Banana is good too. Oh, okay. Fudge ones don't last a single night. Whole box, right? I mean, they need to sell like crates, you know? I should probably rent a forklift when I go grocery shopping. A vote for banana. 2 votes for banana, but melon is better. Okay, the watermelon ones. Gotta get the watermelon ones. I love creamy strawberry. Pineapple are better. Man, I'm gonna have to try some of these. They sound so delicious. The other day I found out I was colorblind. It just came out of the purple. Okay, I think I get the joke. It's a little confusing. I think what you should do is tell the joke, though. Because, like I say, the jokes you think are going to hit don't. And the jokes that you think aren't going to work always hit pretty hard. Almost always hit pretty hard. Sometimes they don't, but usually they do. You can borrow a couple of my jokes, too, if you want. You can tell them. If you need a couple of jokes, you can tell a couple of them on stage. I won't mind. I want you to be successful up there. You got a personality for it. For those who don't know, when the alarm goes off at Taekwondo and it's playing that funky music that alarms on cell phones do, he dances to it. He's a funny kid. So let's see. Not a very good dance, but it's still dancing. We bought those same ones, and we bought them because I love frozen treats. Yeah, exactly. I like, because it's a cool thing. Sometimes I get heated. I need to cool down. Once you go banana, you never go banaka. Ah, got it. Okay. That's another vote for banana from Gary. Man, you guys are on top of it. I'm going to have to check that out. I think they got some lime ones, maybe some orange ones. I don't know. They need to have more. We need to invent new fruits. Because, once you got the basics. You got the apple, you got the grape, you got the lime, the orange, the lemon, the strawberry, the raspberry, the cherry, the blueberry. And now they're like, kiwi's good. And then they're like, dragon fruit's good, which dragon fruit kind of looks like a coronavirus. And then it's like, oh, we'll just make wild berry. That's a fruit, even though it's not. But then, we need to invent more fruits. Speaking of inventing more fruits, I've invented more jokes. Let's tell them, because there's not very many of them, so we'll get through this painful part of the show fast. What do I have for jokes? I'm going to do them sitting down, by the way. That's how I usually do the joke portion of the show. Pear apple. Purple, right? Pear. Actually, that's kind of interesting because a lot of fruit juices, like if you go to the 100% juice aisle, I got cherry, juicy juice cherry, and it says on the label apple juice and then cherry flavoring. Now turn around, I wound up buying 100% cherry juice. Mount Mortency cherry, because there are different kinds of cherries, right? Cherry juice, 100% cherry juice, too cherry, far too cherry. Could not even drink it. But when you buy most of the 100% juices, it's usually apple juice, like the unflavored red apples that don't really have any flavor, and then they throw in extra flavors for them. So it's either apple juice, orange juice, cranberry juice, or pear juice. Because those are bland and they can add stuff to them, except for the cranberry. That kind of has its own flavor, but everybody loves a weird cranberry flavor, even though it's dry. It's so weird. It's like how it you drink the wet, but it makes your mouth dry. It's like how when you eat Chinese food and then you get more hungrier. I just showed a friend some kiwi fruit last week ago, less than a week ago. Pen, pineapple, apple pen. Pear apple juice. I got a pen, I got a pineapple. Tropical blend juice. Yeah, I love the tropical. Because then you get the mango and you get the passion fruit, whatever that is. But it sounds like sex and, that's just a thing. We're almost done with the gem, which means we're almost done with the show, which means I got to get to the jokes. Okay, so I started working as an electrical scientist. And I keep getting electrocuted. I guess that makes me an archaeologist. Yeah, that's making me want, and I'll probably tell this one again next week, but it's making me want to write a joke about like a musical like a symphony conductor um was working with electronics and he kept getting shocked because he's a good conductor. And we'll come back to that one. I saw a rooster. He was strutting around and acting proud. Man, this rooster was acting cocky. Somebody said they were going to hold down their lumber with straps. I said, where are you going to find enough guns to hold down some 2x4s? And they said, Texas. Yeah. Let's see. Somebody told me they were going to the gastroenterologist. I said, shouldn't that be called a gastroexitologist? Just curious. Let's see. I was writing jokes on my phone. This joke is for the comedians in the house. I was writing jokes, taking notes. I write them down in my phone. And my autocorrect doesn't understand the context of the joke. Which basically every time I try to write down a joke, my autocorrect thinks that I don't understand grammar. But the joke's on it because I actually don't. Let's see. Oh, a baker started taking martial arts because he wanted to learn about Taekwondo. There's more to that joke. It needs a second half. That's the volley. It needs the spike. Speaking of autocorrect, as a man, I don't know how to spell. Like if I'm going to write out banana, I just write the letter B and follow it with a bunch of A's and N's. People get the gist of it. Same thing with remember. You type an R, then a whole bunch of E's and M's, and you put a B in there somewhere, and people understand you're talking about remember. And, that's just one of the things about being a guy, And that kind of reminds me, and this Roxy will get a kick out of this because she's heard it already, but somebody said that they were going to get their boyfriend a book for Christmas. And I said, men don't read. I know. I'm a man. I buy my groceries from Menards. Which I'm going to tell that joke again. I'm trying to juice that joke for all it's worth. Speaking of 100% juice. So, here's a tip for you. If you're trying to be comfortable on stage, I've heard that one of the things you can do is imagine the audience in their underwear. So I'm going to try to imagine the audience in their underwear. Like I'll see someone who's wearing edible underwear. And I'll say, "You probably have on edible underwear because you don't trust the food here." Let's see, "You probably wear leather underwear because you've been watching too many serial killer documentaries." "You're probably going commando because it's laundry day." "You probably wear boxer shorts because you're a man and you drive a truck and you buy your groceries from Menards." And "You probably have camouflage underwear because you don't want the gentleman to find your special spots." "Me, I've got on tighty whities, but they're not that tight and they're not that white. Actually, I wear the boxer shorts. I wound up buying the Fruit of the Loom. Yeah, because it's got that delicious label on it. There's the little grapes on there. It's got an apple on there. There's a cornucopia. And I don't know what cornucopias taste like, but I imagine they taste like croissants. Basically, I bought the underwear because it made me hungry. And I thought about buying Hanes, but that rhymes with pains. And it kind of sounds like an STD. It's like, "Hey, you want to get to know me?" And it's like, "No, you have Hanes disease. Stay away." And that's, basically what I have so far for my. Oh, another one is "You're probably wearing Huggies so that you can drink a little extra. And you probably have on those underwear you can buy with your dog's face printed on them, except it's not your dog, it's your bearded dragon." Don't know how to end that joke, but that's okay because I also don't know how to end the joke portion of the program. But that is the end of the show. That's right, that's the end of the show. If you have any questions, contact me. You got my email, you got my number. Give me a call, shoot me a message. Thanks for coming by. I hope I answered all your questions. I hope I get to see y'all next week and every week at 9 p.m. Eastern.